We're not supposed to be on yet, but we are. So I don't know. What do you do? I gotta make a tea yet.
Okay. Hello, hello. I did this last time to me too.
Anybody there?
Yep. He did. Welcome. Welcome. I'm still trying to set up. Привет. Welcome. Hello, everyone. And God bless you. First like.
Oh, do we need our mics?
I don't know. Can you hear us? Me? Just me, because you're
Yeah, some folks say it cuts in and out, eh? Where are the mics? I don't even see them.
with or without.
With or without mics? They say it cuts without, but I don't see them.
I'm not sure.
They are missing. Might have to do without, I think. That's weird. They're always up there.
We took them.
Very strange. How's everybody doing? How was your week? As you come into the chat, hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to do that. They say it helps with the YouTube algorithms. Maybe our channel will start growing again.
Yeah.
For some reason, we've been stuck for a long time. At, where do we? Almost 197 now. It's a very slow crawl right now. And it's almost like YouTube has kind of deliberately made us stuck. So if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe and see if we can get to the 200,000 yet. And share. Always share. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, your babushkas, your dadushkas, everybody. Tell them to subscribe. Even if they don't speak English or Russian or whatever, just subscribe anyway. We're going to do things a little differently today. My name is Arend Feenstra. This is my beautiful better half, Anneesa. And we're going to do more of a topic-based. Normally on a live, we kind of read the comments and answer a few questions. We're still going to try to do that at the same time as discussing why you should consider moving to Russia, or why people move to Russia, why we move to Russia, why it's a good idea. Maybe it's not a good idea. You're welcome to leave your comments down below. Keep it friendly. Keep it nice. Got 195 people here. Hit the thumbs up. It's still only at 77 on my screen. Thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. It's not moving either. There goes 79. Got 2 more thumbs up. All right, number one reason. The reason I put it at number 1 is because...
I don't even know what these are.
No. Well, you'll learn soon enough. The number one reason, and the reason I put it there, is because God is the most important element, thing in our life. It's the most important. And so the number one reason I wrote down was religious freedom. And that might sound a little odd because many countries have religious freedoms. But we feel that we are more free here in Russia than we were the last few years in Canada. And that has to do with a whole lot of different issues. But the direction that the country is going here, you do have religious freedoms. It's a misconception. People in the West seem to think that only Orthodoxy is accepted here and any other branches of Christianity would be persecuted. I have heard so many stories from different people of these little evidences, they call them, of persecution. And I have been able to debunk every single one of those. There is no Christian persecution. There are churches who seem to be sidelined, but I wouldn't call them Christian. And basically, if you mind your own business, you're free to worship however you like. Just don't be threatening to anybody else's religions, basically. And I think that's just common sense. You should kind of, do your own thing. But people are still open about their religion, talking about God, sharing their gospel, telling people about Jesus. It's perfectly religiously free and nice. You can't have religious freedom. You can't have any other freedom, even if the government tells you you have them. I don't understand that comment because that's not true. I live here. I have religious freedoms. I know people who go out and preach and talk about God, and they
says
have
if you
lots of
can.
freedoms.
If you can't have religious freedoms, you can't have any other freedom.
Ah, that makes a lot more sense. I misread your comment. So yes, absolutely. So number one reason why you can move here. Now, that doesn't mean you have to leave your country. You might have religious freedoms as well, and that's great. But we found in Canada those things were slipping. Right now, you're still free to go to church, do what you like, but certain things you are no longer allowed to discuss, certain topics in church, and many churches actually avoid reading the Bible altogether for those reasons because they don't want to offend somebody. And that to me is not religious freedom. Freedom should be you should be able to speak 100% truth about God and God's word without fear. Yeah? Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it.
Did I cover it all? I beat it down.
I think you got it.
Awesome. Hey man, our thumbs ups are still way out to lunch here. What do you think about the tariffs? Well, that's a whole different ballgame altogether. Not today's.
That's not
topic.
on your list.
Not on my topic, no. No, something about ostriches on here now. Those are interesting questions. I want to touch that one. I really do about the tariffs because I have an opinion. But it's not today. Maybe.
Maybe
we'll get to it, yeah. Who knows? It's the same guy asking again. There's two people asking me about the tariffs.
Well, it's probably gonna.
Maybe I should have done a live about the tariffs today because I do have opinions on that. But financial freedoms is another one. I think Russia offers financial freedoms, which is a very important part of why to move here. Now, a lot of people are surprised by that as well because wages, on average, are lower here in Russia. If you look on the online stats, it actually looks ridiculously low in Russia. And I don't think that's accurate because I see far more BMWs and Land Rovers and Audis driving around here than I ever have in Canada. So there is obviously a gap, in my opinion, probably a larger gap between the rich and the poor here than there may be in Canada. But a lot of that is fake. A lot of the neighbors and friends that you have in the West look rich, but they're not. And the same thing with agriculture. A lot of people are, oh, the farmers are rich. And they make that assumption because driving by, it's all brand new equipment in the yard, but that's not actually honest. Most of those people are incredibly far in debt. And the same thing with average homeowners. They are incredibly far in debt. Here, they're not. A lot of people, I would say the vast majority of people own their own homes without debt, and they own their cars without debt. And debt is a very small part of their life, whereas in Canada, probably 80-90% debt, I would think. Maybe I'm slightly wrong there, but most people are in very far over their heads. And not only that, here you can buy a piece of land and farm it. I did the math the other day. I'm going to save that for a different podcast sometime, but I did the math on farming here, and it is possible to pay off a piece of land here that would take you 25 years to pay off doing the exact same thing and using the exact same financial metrics. It would take me 25 years or more to pay it off in Canada, and here I could pay it off in 1 year doing the exact same thing. And to me, that makes huge financial freedoms and makes massive opportunities for the future. The children here, the young people, actually have an opportunity to farm if they want to. It's still hard work. It's not easy money. Nobody's giving a handout. Nobody gave us a handout, but it is possible here to actually make a living. And in Canada, that is almost impossible in agriculture today. Anybody got any questions on any of that? Safety of all, but old people, children, women can walk freely at any time, day or night. Amen. Yes, and the respect and morals. I'm going to get to that shortly as well. That's a huge one as well. Yep. Lots of questions. Freedom from LGBT junk is what I wrote, and that is a big one, and that ties in with the religious freedoms as well. You don't have to worry about that here. There's no one that is trying to shove those agendas on you. It's not being shoved on you by TV programs here, by newspapers, by magazines, radio. You don't have to worry about any of that, and especially not in schools, where is probably the worst right now in Canada and USA. I can speak more about Canada, I guess, than USA, but I think it's the same thing there, isn't it? Where they're force feeding this onto your kids. and trying to make them believe there's more than two genders and that they can go ahead and experiment with all this goofball stuff. You don't have to worry about that here. You're free from all of that ideology. Your kids can just be kids. And I think that is very, very important. What other countries have been in your short list and why? None. Russia was the only one.
Well, over the years, we looked at a few different, but nothing like really serious, like moving to.
Oh yeah, we've contemplated, and I still do. Like, hey, this would be cool. That'd be cool. I have a wall map right here beside me, and I love looking at that. I'm like, hey, I wonder what it'd be like to live here or live there.
Yeah, but not to live full time.
No, more traveling.
That's traveling.
Traveling, or even doing missionary work. We've talked about that as well. But as far as serious moving, we didn't really look anywhere else other than Russia, and it's mainly for these reasons that I wrote down, because doing homework ahead of time, these reasons are covered. And it's basically the direction the country's headed in that is the most important to me. Not so much where it is today, although that matters, of course, but the direction it's going is extremely important. And most countries most Western countries are headed in a very, very poor direction. No pride parades or medical procedures done on children. Absolutely. Yeah, you're free to raise your children. The Bible says, pray without ceasing. Accordingly, a woman's head should always be covered, always. That is an interesting topic, not on today's list. What do you feel then about men's head? Because then a man's head should never be covered in the same Bible verse. And this is something that has been discussed a lot as well, and it's something to think about. I wear a hat almost all the time. Now, one argument we would have, this has nothing to do with today's chat, but it is interesting. One argument I guess I would have is that a hat is easily removable. If a woman is required, to wear a head covering when praying or prophesying, then it doesn't mean she necessarily has to have it on all the time, although we should pray without ceasing. I do understand that argument, and I've held it myself. But if you don't have a covering with you and you need to pray, then what do you do? And so there's the argument why she should wear it all the time as well, versus a man could have a hat on, and if you need to pray, you can take it off. That does not cover the pray without ceasing. I understand that, but it does cover it in the other aspects. In a cold climate, there's no logical way. God is far beyond our logic, and he's not requiring men not to wear a hat in winter. That would be ridiculous. And so we have to use some common sense there as well. And
I think it's a heart condition.
What is?
Whether or not you believe.
Yeah, but you can't run around in the winter with no hat on. You'd freeze. You'd get sick. So God is not asking you to do that. And therefore, we need to look at that verse in that light as well, that obviously man is required to wear a hat or he will freeze to death in the wintertime. And so in the same sense, the woman then also, there's going to be times where she would not have to wear a head covering. Because if it applies for one, it also applies for the other. But we do feel it is more practical to just have it on all the time. Right? Or you do.
I do, yeah.
You're free to do whatever you like. Did I cover topic number 3? Freedom from LGBT? I think so. Now, that is not just because of traditional values. It's actually mandated by law here now. The law in the government, and that is another reason why it drew us towards Russia, is because the government sees these problems that are in the West and is proactive about making laws and changes to enshrine it, basically, and not have this happen down the road. In the 90s, when we were kids, these were also just kind of fringe ideas, but they grew. And most of us were like, they'll grow out of it. It's a phase. But they didn't. It continued to grow, and it's become a massive problem where now children have no identity. They don't know what they are. Are they a cat? Are they a dog? Are they male? Are they female? They have no idea. And that is tragic. It's going to cause a huge amount of problems down the road. And Russia is proactive. They looked at that and they said, hey, we're not doing that. That's crazy. Kids need to know who they are, or they're not going to turn into healthy adults. And they have made rules and stuff to prevent that. So you can come here knowing full well that you're secure that way. Beautiful architecture. I threw that in there. It doesn't fit with the last topic, but it is stunning. Now you have that in all of Europe. There's a lot of beautiful architecture all over the place. But we have less of it in Canada because it's not as old. Not everybody likes that. Not everybody appreciates that. I do. You do. We love historical things. And we just recently came back from a trip to Moscow. I'm told St. Petersburg is way nicer. That probably depends on who you ask, I guess. But we look forward to visiting there as well. But even here, right in Nizhny Novgorod, there's so many old, beautiful buildings, beautiful architecture, a lot of history preserved, lots of nice old statues. There's places where people have literally inhabited for thousands of years, and there's so much culture and history here that it's phenomenal. It's like being on holidays all the time, right? Anytime we go to the city, it's just there's so much to see. And typically for us anyway, for Anneesa and I, if we wanted to see something like that, it would cost us a lot of money to go on a holiday. And here we live it. It's everyday life now, which is wonderful. What's going on?
I'm just trying to do something and it's not working.
Ny robota.
I was trying to put a thing in, but for some reason it repeated it twice, so I don't get it.
Can I keep going?
Yeah, you got things right there. Give her.
Yeah. Bulldog Chuck just gave us a €10. And I always forget my symbols, but I'm pretty sure that's euro. Super chat. Good luck to everyone. Thank you very much. We appreciate the support. It helps us do what we do. Religious women wear a headscarf at home or at home, but in front of strangers, it is obligatory. No one forces you to do something against your will. Respect the choice of these people. She's telling this to someone else. Yes, and I think you should always respect everyone anyway. I've noticed that Anneesa gets judged on that sometimes. That's her choice, and
I don't actually take offense to it. People have their opinion on the matter, and that's their right to do so. I know what my heart is on the matter, and I feel right with God with that decision. So, and I don't judge anybody for not wearing a head covering.
No,
that's their thing.
That's exactly the point. I don't judge anybody for anything. I mean, you do what you need to do. At the end of the day, you are responsible for what you do, and we're responsible for what we do. And we don't do things and then say, hey, you got to do what we do, and you're wrong or you're bad. We respect other people's opinions and choices, and we expect people to do the same for us.
Mm-hmm.
This person thinks Canada's in pretty bad shape. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of reading through someone if there's anything here that's applicable. Nizhny has been a very large trade center, old buildings and wealthy merchants' mansions. Shows how well off they were. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's lots of evidence of that still. Yeah. Are there any Amish people here? No. Now I'm told, I've never met them, but I'm told the old believers are similar. I don't know. Some of them still use horses and stuff for their work and for their travel. So I would very much like to visit with the old believers sometime. And I think there's different ones as well, depending on where you live or where they're from. But yeah, it'd be something to look into for sure.
You can
Anything else?
Keep going. I'm trying to do multiple things here.
Do you consume any alcohol, and what is your attitude to it? Yes, we do. Yeah, we're not opposed to alcohol, but not very often. And basically just when we're together, that's it. We make a habit, a rule of it, basically not to drink with others, never to get carried away. I think alcohol can definitely be used medicinally. The Bible even speaks of that it's good for the stomach, but it needs to be used in moderation. Drunkenness is strictly forbidden in the Bible. We should never, ever get to that point. But just to have a drink, have a glass of wine or something, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Hey, that was a good comment about mansions. That's okay. All right, next one I had on my list was agricultural opportunities. Now, I already covered this a little bit earlier, but I think there's massive opportunities here in Russia as far as agriculture is concerned. Where would I start that, I guess? Basically, the price of land here is phenomenally low. Now, I covered this a little bit. I did the math on it. I compared a piece of land here and one of similar size in Canada that I know is for sale. And I compared the price on the one in Canada and the price here. And I said, okay, let's say that I can put 20 cows on this piece of land. And they each have a calf. None of the calves die. At today's prices for those calves, those 20 cows would pay for the land in 1 year. On the other piece of property, those cows, the same 20 cows, because the properties are the same size, those same 20 cows would not even pay for half of the interest on the loan that I would need to take to buy the property. So I would need to run 40 cows on that piece of land in Ontario, Canada, in order to pay the interest. That is just the bank interest on the loan to buy land. I have not made the purchase on the land. I have not made any principal payments on the land. So here, close by me, I could buy that land and pay for it in 1 year. In Canada, I would need to have twice as many cows on the land, and still I would not be paying for the land. Think about that. That's huge opportunities here that are not existent there. Is it complicated? Yes. Can a foreigner buy land here? No. But there is opportunities. There's ways of making it work. Aside from that, there's huge markets opening up here. Somebody just covered tariffs. That's a big problem. Canada's largest trade partner is America. Here in Russia, we are exposed to many different markets, and there's a lot of different opportunities because of those markets. Many of them are emerging markets, meaning they will be buying more in 5-10 years than they do today because they are growing, their economies are growing, and they have a huge amount of people to feed. That all creates opportunities. And logistically, we are a lot closer to those markets here than you are in the West, or we were in the West. So those are huge opportunities. Aside from that, the government here is also very serious. If you're paying attention to the news at all, it seems like in the States, in Canada, in Australia, in Europe, the governments are clamping down on farming and making it harder and harder to actually make any living and make any money on it. There's always some new rule. There's always a new stipulation. There's always some more taxes. In Canada right now, we've got carbon taxes that are supposedly going to fix the environment, but do actually nothing. And that hurts farmers. It makes it harder to make a living. Between that and then the energy costs going way up, carbon tax also covers energy costs. It's just tough. The input costs are too high, land prices are too high. Here, the government is the opposite. They said, hey, we need more food. Who's going to produce that? Farmers. What can we do to help them? Let's get it done. I just came back from a meeting we had yesterday. Yesterday, we had a meeting with local farmers. There was about 60 to 80 of us gathered in the room, and representatives from the government of Nizhny Novgorod. And these programs are federal. There's some Nizhny, of course, there's some local programs, but there's also federal. It's an initiative to help get more farmers producing, get more farmland in production. And there's huge amounts of money that the government is putting in to say, what can we do to become more productive? That's a goal. So you can see, again, there's two different trajectories there. The one is trying to almost produce less food and punish farmers for producing food. And the other one is trying to produce more food. What's going to be the long-term outcome of that? Obviously, Russia is going to be in much better shape. If you're a farmer here, you're going to do better here than you will in the West. And if you're in the West, that is a very good reason to consider moving here and starting farming here, because the opportunities are just massive. There is literally millions and millions of acres of land sitting here that is not productive. That somebody, whether local, anyway, or you're a Westerner and you're thinking about moving, or you're a Westerner who's just struggling under mountains of debt, those are opportunities that literally exist here that don't in the West. Any good comments?
Do you still speak Dutch?
Yes, I get asked that every live, I think. I still speak Dutch. Guys, enable donation alerts so that we can donate you in rubles.
No idea how to do that. I keep putting
also, what's your
there.
Christian denomination? Well, we just call ourselves conservative Christian. We're not really belonging to any denomination per se, but we have huge respects for many of them and are always learning.
While in English, why did I learn German?
Where does it say this?
Somebody said that.
While in English, why did I learn German? Bulldog, is that another 10 euros? Thank you very much. We love you, your lovely family, and especially Madeline. Good luck for all the things. Keep going. God bless you. Tomorrow?
No.
Tuesday. Oh, no, Tuesday. Yes, she was. Okay, yes. My brother's tomorrow.
She's supposed to be on.
Yeah. And she was supposed to be on his birthday. It's easier for Papa to remember that way, but she's the next day. Good luck for all the things. Keep going. God bless you. And God bless you too. Thank you very much. Western countries put more trust in financial sector, unfortunately, forgetting that real production of products is the basis of any strong economy. Yes, 100%. And I would add to that, I think that agriculture is the basis of all economy and of all countries. And why do people forget that? If you don't have food, you have nothing. If you look at every great civilization that ever existed, they became great based on an agrarian society, right? They had a fertile area that they could grow an abundance of food, which then allowed them to prosper and to create an empire. And yet, for some reason, people then forget about farmers. And that's why I say it's the pinnacle of success for me. No other job is great. You have a ladder of different jobs, different vocations that you could choose from. Farmer is on the top of that list. No? Normally I read them all. So if you don't like this content, come back next week. It'll be something different.
If we do next.
Yeah. All right, next one was educational opportunities. I'm not going to make any use of that myself because I really don't like school that much. But schooling here is good. A couple of reasons. Now, we covered the LGBT already. Can I turn this heater off? The heat's just sure. It's cooking. There's a heater down underneath the desk, and then the air comes right up and gets me in the eyeball. So if you see me doing this, it's because my eyes are drying out. What was I going to say? Oh, the LGBT stuff. So for one, educational opportunity. You can send your son or your daughter to a school knowing they're going to come back learning math and language and history and art and not be pumped up with some kind of crazy gender ideology or other woke nonsense. They're going to go there and learn school, which is what they should be learning. And I think that's phenomenal. You can have that confidence. I don't know about what the other kids are like, but from what I hear, the school itself and the education system in Russia is top notch. It's very, very good. So that's something that's important. On top of that, you have college and university. Now, we learned a little bit yesterday, speaking to a university graduate, that it's different. In Canada, at least, we have regular school going to grade 12, and then children decide to go either to college, university, or go into workforce. So myself, I went and worked. I don't want any more school. But here, it sounds like you go to grade 9, correct? And then go to college.
No, you go to 14, and then you're in college, 14 to 16 or 17.
No, to 18, I think it was. Any case, it's a little bit different. So college is not like the higher education we would have in the West. It's a different term.
16 to 18, then they're in college, and then after that.
And then you either go into workforce or you go to university, something like that. But it is subsidized by the state. I don't know if it's fully covered. It's ridiculously cheap, at least from what I understand, compared to Western education. Western education is phenomenally expensive. Many people spend a lot of years trying to pay it back when they're done, if they ever do. I've seen programs where a lot of people are trying to convince the government or hope that the government will pay off their student loans because they can't afford to do so, which I also think is ridiculous. You're the one that went to school, you should pay for it. But here, the government is covering it. Go back a little bit. The reason it's so expensive in the West is not because of government's fault. It's because the schools charge too much. It's ridiculous how much it costs to go to school. And the government shouldn't have to pay that back for you. The schools shouldn't be charging that much. So if there's any government support that should happen in the West, it should be talking to the schools and telling them to not charge so much for school in the first place. But here, those opportunities exist. And from what I understand too, the programs here are phenomenal. The children, the level of education that they get in a university is amazing.
Did you miss something?
I don't know why. Here's one.
Yeah, this one.
All right, Russo-Swiss AED. What is that again? Man, I should remember these. United Arab Emirates?
I think so.
I don't know. We appreciate it no matter where it is or how big or small. Constantine, Real Reporter, has an episode on the Old Believers on YouTube. I'd say they look more 20th century while the Amish look more 18th century. Interesting. You know what? I know Constantine very well, and he did a documentary on us as well, and I've seen that one, and I've seen the thumbnail for it. I've never actually watched that one yet. I keep meaning to. But Martian Moon, $5 super chat. I know virtually nothing about agriculture. Would you think that Russia is conducive for producing nuts like cashews or peanuts? Russians are going to be able to answer that better than I am. From what I know, cashews and peanuts, cashews especially, it's a very warm climate. Peanuts, I think, only grow in like Texas or something. We don't grow that in Canada.
You can. It just has to be sandy.
Like well, yeah, it's not going to be as productive. It doesn't have to be warm.
Warmer. I'm thinking closer to the
Russians. If you know the answer to
that, maybe
please answer this and maybe do an @ so and so they know where to find it. But Krasnodar and Crimea, it's fairly warm, so it's possible. Maybe you could grow down there. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yes, this family will revolutionize agriculture. Mark my words. Oh, I don't know about that, but I am excited about it. And there's no small farms, basically none. And I know some people argued, oh, there's small farms. Okay, but not like Canada.
Not like where
there's so many family farms that we're used to. They're everywhere. They're all down the road. There's family farms everywhere, and we don't see that here at all. But going to this meeting, we did see other people, and they're various sizes. Some are very small, some are larger. But I've seen people, men and women, who want to farm, who are farming, who put their all into producing food. And that's the same no matter where. And that was a pair when we're sitting there. You can see these are men and women like us who want to grow food and are passionate about it. Peanuts can be grown in greenhouses, but not worth it. I think peanuts and cashews are not grown on a large scale. In Russia, they are imported. Well, cashews, I was going to say for sure. I think you got to go down to like Iran or something for cashews. Hello from Kazakhstan. Thank God for your family. Thank God for a visit to Russia. How much does it cost you to eat? Oh, I'm not sure. A lot. Have prices increased in the year that you've been living here? Yes, they have. Yeah, I will be open and honest about that. The prices have gone up. But wages have also gone up. And I don't know how much either one of those have gone up, but I know wages have gone up because I've been hearing that, and we do have some connections, but also food has gone up, yes.
According to Google, Russia does not grow peanuts.
There you go. Google knows everything. Countryside Acres, what are your hat? I've seen it here somewhere. What are you hat in Russia? Whoa, what happened? Oh, snap. Something went wrong, it says on the screen.
Where is your hat? Maybe.
James Tickle, you once stated you answer all questions. So much for that. Huh? No, not on lives. There's no way I can answer all questions.
Well, we try to, and
it's not possible.
But this one's totally different.
This live is dedicated to a specific topic. There's no way I can read all the comments anyway, because there's too many of them. And even on regular YouTube videos, we no longer can possibly answer the comments. I get hundreds of emails and comments, and I mean, people get forgotten. I am very sorry. We would love to answer them all, but I just simply don't have the time. It's not that we don't care. I had a guy write me an email at, was it 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he wrote me another one at 9, angry that I didn't read his email and answer him. Well, for one, I email or answer emails in the mornings. So if you write it at 2:30 in the afternoon, you shouldn't expect a reply before the following morning. And even then, literally my inbox is stuffed full. I don't get to them all. I just simply don't have the time. I'm sorry. Where can we see your older videos on home building? They are all on the YouTube channel. You just have to scroll back. So we've been here for 1 year. Before that, we were in Georgia for 3 months. And before that, we spent about 4 months. When did we sell the farm? In June? Mm-hmm. So this June would be 2 years ago. So if you want to see our last farm, you'd have to go back 2 years on our YouTube videos. But check them out. Actually, a lot of people have been looking at the older videos. I think we had some good content. We were much newer at YouTubing, but there's some great videos on there. Have a look at those. Guys, do not lose your optimism and good mood. I really want to see your smiles. Just be yourself. All right, what is the next one? Educational. Okay, great healthcare. I think that's another one. For you Americans, probably very important. Healthcare is extremely expensive. In Canada, we have what we call free healthcare. Obviously, we pay through the nose on taxes. It's very expensive in Canada for taxes. And part of that funds our healthcare. Healthcare is very much broken in Canada. Almost every honest Canadian will admit to that and tell you that. Nobody has a solution to fixing it. Wait times are horrendous. It's like you could almost die in the waiting room. Well, people do, actually, sadly. Some people do. It's very bad. It's not in good shape. How to fix it? Well, we won't get into that here. But I can say that here, the wait times are like we just had another appointment with a specialist. Wes has some trouble with his one knee. He has for a while, and we've had an MRI done like 6 months ago or something on it.
9 months.
9 months, and we wanted to do a follow up. And so she called. What is today? Sunday. You called like what, Wednesday for an appointment, and we're gonna like tomorrow take him in.
Yeah, and the only reason that was because I asked for next week.
You could have got in
right away.
So that's a specialist that's going to see him. They're going to have the MRI, and then the specialist is going to look at the MRI results, and we're going to go over it. That's how fast it is here, literally. What would that cost? Roughly $60?
No, I think your MRI was like $1,500.
Well, I was saying with doctor's visit and everything, maybe 4,000 rubles. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Less than that?
Here, rubles?
Here,
it would cost? Oh, I'm not sure. Not very much.
Okay, I don't think it'll be over that anyway. I think under $60, you would be in and out at the specialist with an MRI done and consult. So healthcare, phenomenal. My surgery, I had gallbladder removed. I was in the hospital for 3 days, I think it was, with some testing.
Yeah.
All of it under $900. So phenomenal. Like you can't do that. I know some people in Canada who are, well, their religion, their denomination of religion doesn't allow them to use free healthcare in Canada. So they pay for everything themselves. Even though it is free in Canada, these people choose to pay. And just visiting an emergency room costs them $350. Canadian dollars. Anything. Yeah, that's not even seeing anybody yet. That's just the visit. So I got my surgery done in 3 days of hospital stay, food, all this stuff for $900 Canadian again. So I mean, very, very cheap. What else? Yeah, great worldcast. Doctors, surgeons, everybody's available here, and it's quick, it's fast, good results. Oh, and I guess the other thing I could add to that, they have more old school, like more, what do you call that? Like plant-based ideas. In Canada, it seems like they're always pushing for a drug. You need to take this drug or that drug. They always want to pop you on some pills.
Yeah.
And here, or cut it out. Pills or cut it.
Yeah.
Because that's where the most money is. Whereas here, there's a lot more, what's the word for that? Homeopathic.
Yeah, but even just natural. I find they try to find the solution to the problem, right? Like even with your stomach, they're like, okay, well, you have a gallbladder issue. We'll remove it for you because you want that. But what caused it in the first place, right? Like they want you to, take all these things to help fix your stomach because obviously your stomach's not working properly because your gallbladder failed because of all those different things, your eating habits,
whereas there they just shove you some pills and that doesn't work.
Yeah, they don't even do a follow-up. They don't care in Canada. No.
Yeah. So we're extremely happy, and especially because the last number of years in Canada with the whole
nonsense
pandemic thing going on, everything that went on, we were very disenchanted with the whole healthcare thing. It was terrible in Canada, and to the point where some doctors wouldn't even see you because because of this stuff. And here it's like a breath of fresh air. It's totally different.
This person says they stopped going to doctors in Canada. You're so right, and I find that a lot of people are actually scared to go to the doctor because they're not.
Yep.
And
homeopathic is making a comeback in Canada, probably because of this. Like the wait times are ridiculous for healthcare. I literally had fluid dripping out of my ear, and I went to my regular doctor,
like
pussy stuff. It was a bad ear infection. I went to the regular doctor, and they needed to send me to a specialist because I have tubes in my ear. The specialist, it took me 9 months to see that guy, and I had already seen him. He's the guy that did the job. So it's not like I was a new patient. I was on his roster, and it still took me 9 months to get in. And I had this bad ear. It's terrible, terrible. Are we going to raise Charolais? No. Black Angus. It's totally not related to the topic, but I love your thinking. Cows
cut sugar.
I miss cows.
Yes, we're cutting sugar out of our diet slowly.
Yeah. Way better medical there, huh? Yep, absolutely. That's the same in the U.S. It's never about your health, only about your wallet. It's an equal place.
Absolutely. And it gets people really nervous. Like when I first came here, I was really nervous about the doctors or any of that. I get kind of, are they, actually there to help or not? And I see that in the other family that's here too. I keep trying to reassure her that the doctors actually are here to help. So if anything comes up, you can easily go to a doctor. They're not going to make you do anything you don't want.
They still do home visits here. The doctor will come to your house. and help you out. They don't do that in Canada.
No, they don't. They did for me when I was a child.
When you were younger?
When I was a baby, yeah.
Only in the city, probably, not when you lived on the farm.
No, they would. No, it had changed, but like I was born in the 80s, and when I was sick, the doctor came right to my house.
Well, there you go, though. But 80s, 90s is when Canada was great still. Yeah. Here, this one says, so you guess Russian medical care more good than Canadian. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yes. Not I think I could say no for myself, my own experience. Yeah. Angus is a good choice. Yes. It's totally not the topic here, but I love cattle. Reason I would take Angus, two main reasons I would choose Angus. One, the whole world is advertising Angus, right? I mean, you can see it in all sorts of rest. People are advertising black Angus. And it's very popular. And the key to selling things is there's a lot of advertising. So other companies are already advertising for you. You don't have to try to explain to somebody what a Charlet is. Hey, I want to sell you the Charlet steak, and they don't know what a Charlet is. Everybody knows what an Angus steak is. So that's number one. Number two, Angus is a low maintenance cow. So a Charlet is much higher maintenance. It needs much better feeding in order to maintain the nice body condition. So is a Hereford. Angus is very low maintenance. They can take a lower quality bale and still turn it into good quality meat. And that's been proven time and again as well. So those two main reasons is why I would stick with Angus. Angus or Angus crosses. I'm okay with a cross. Charolais are beautiful though. I do really like Charolais. Incidentally, if you're going to grain feed, which should be a higher maintenance again, of course, Angus or the Charolais would outperform, in my opinion. Again, the best performing cattle I ever raised in the feedlot would have been Herefords. I had 2 batches of Herefords come in. It's 275 to 300 head in each pen, and they outperformed every other breed and every other group of cattle in that feedlot. That doesn't happen every time. There's genetics at play there as well. But they
you noticed our last ones too, right? I found. Did you say about the corn? With the
corn fit?
Well, I find that you don't have to feed them as much grains.
Angus.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's because they're lower maintenance. So when I say low maintenance, I don't mean combing them. I'm talking about the feed itself. They can handle just a bale of hay, like a Holstein can't. You can put a Holstein calf and an Angus calf in the same pen on the same bale of hay. And the one will look like it's starving to death, and the other one will get nice and fat. And the same kind, not as bad, but the same kind of an idea would apply with an Angus and a Charolais in the same pen on the same bale. They won't perform the same. Angus can handle lower quality feed. It's kind of like if you go to a Longhorn can handle like no feed. They're bred for being raised in very arid climates with very little feed.
Somebody just asked if that was a Russian card. Yes, that's a Russian card, so you can donate.
This card? Oh, okay. You got our card number there?
Mm-hmm. Somebody wondered if we were going to do regenerated farming.
Yes.
Like Craig Judy.
Yeah, I like that guy. He's got a lot of good stuff on there. And that is, again, a trick to making money, agricultural opportunities. They do still exist in niche market forms, but you have to think outside the box. Stop doing what your dad did. Start doing what grandpa or great-grandpa did. Bring things back a little bit, because we went through a time period where farming was very profitable, feeding a lot of grain and heating a barn or something like that, and like energy costs were low, building costs were low, and so we went through a different phase in agriculture. That no longer works. Agriculture is extremely expensive right now. Barn costs are high, energy costs are high, and it's pretty tough to make a living. Go back to what great grandpa did and farm a little bit differently. Think outside the box. Regenerative agriculture is a big one as well. You look at stocking densities that guys like Greg Judy are getting. They can put way more animal on that same piece of land than conventional farming can. So who's going to make more money? Obviously Greg is, because he can put, I'll make the numbers up, but if he can put an extra 5 cows on that same piece of land as you, there's a whole lot more profit right there. You guys are amazing. Russia is looking more and more appealing to many of us, definitely to me in London, UK with my elderly mom. It looks beautiful, safe option. God bless you both. London is going through a mess. Thank you very much for your comment, by the way. England is really going through a tough time, I think. Mirror Chain made Angus very popular in Russia. Marketing was very robust. Yes. And it's not just there. I don't know why they picked. I mean, I like Black Angus. Like I said, there's good qualities there anyway. But the advertising part, if you go Canada, I think it's A&W, is it? They advertise Angus all over their windows. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Burger King does over there too, does it not?
No.
Anyway,
No,
Angus has
mostly
become a
A&W.
very popular brand, and especially for city folks who are more detached from the country, they don't know what cattle breeds are. They don't have a clue. I mean, they go to the store and they buy meat. So it becomes about recognition. It comes to the store and you're going to buy what you're familiar with. I give this example to my children all the time. In Canada, we have Tim Hortons. All the Canadians in the chat know what I'm talking about. There's a brand recognition. In Ontario, we used to have a store called Pete's Donuts, and quite honestly, their coffee was better than Tim Hortons, and their donuts were bigger, and the whole price was cheaper. And it was doing really well. It was in an area where there was no Tim Hortons. It was very busy. People went there all the time. Tim Hortons ended up putting a store across the road. Pete's Donuts was gone a couple of years later. And it's because of brand recognition. Even though Pete's Donuts had a better product, people didn't know who they were. They knew who Tim Hortons were. And so they stopped in and went and got Tim Hortons coffee. Point is that you need some kind of recognition. And that's where Angus beef comes in again. People just, they go to the store, they see it. If you wrote Charlet on there, I don't think people would buy it because they don't know what it is. I love these, very interesting, but nothing is clear.
They just love watching our faces and expressions, I guess. This person's asking about how come we don't notice how bad environment is.
I was born in Russia, and quick question, how come you haven't noticed how bad the environment is? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean the environment? Political environment, or like actual air quality? I think the air quality here is phenomenal. It's clean, it's nice, it's beautiful. I don't see pollution. I see garbage. Unfortunately, people aren't picking up. Interestingly enough, when I was a kid, there was a lot more garbage in the ditches in Canada. Now it's getting there again, but we went through a time where it became unpopular. People used to just throw stuff out the window. It's just disgusting. And that does bother me here. I wish people would put more stuff in the garbage can. And I wish the garbage can got cleaned out more often, because the dumpsters get over full and then stuff falls out and then it blows away. But that's something that can be worked on, I think. But overall, the environment here is lovely. If you're talking about that kind of environment, if you're talking about like a political environment, I also think it's good. Eric is an immigrant. He left Russia in the 90s and feels sad and depressed. That's why you speculates about Russia and hates people coming here. I don't know who Eric is. You can, hey, go back up. You can subcontract. I wondered about that because I think people would be interested in knowing about that. Mirator produces Black Angus and you can subcontract with them. If you could email me some information about that, because I do get asked that a lot. Not everybody can afford to, like I can afford a few cows. I can't afford a lot. And some other people can't afford any cows. And if, excuse me, if subcontracting is a possibility, I think that would be very attractive for a lot of people. So, all right, we're gonna carry on. Oh, there's a pandemic here, scandemic. We have a 100-year-old Italian bakery here that closed during the scandemic because they couldn't make enough money selling cakes. That's sad. Yeah, a lot of people lost their business. It really hit the middle class hard. I gotta get a drink of water here. We got water there? Lovely.
I love how people like communicate to each other and they kind of answer their own questions.
Oh, it's got such a friendly group here from all around the world. It's amazing. Yes, Alberta. Alberta is always still the pride of Canada. All right, the next one I had on my list, number 8, was Moral Compass. Anneesa actually gave me this one, the Moral Compass. Where were you thinking with that? Put you on the spot?
I'm doing my moderations here. I can't.
I think you're thinking just good morals in general.
Yeah, I just think they have a moral compass.
So a compass always points north, right? And gives you direction. And so here there's great morals. Those morals would come from the Christian roots and traditional background, I think.
Yeah, they just know what's right and wrong. Most people, not all, obviously. You're going to have bad apples in any group, but I just feel like they have a moral. I still think it was like 98, 99% of the people that we've met here are like super friendly, super kind, super nice, got their head on their shoulders. Sure, they think differently about
about simple topics, but
respectful.
as far as morals, decency,
Yeah.
they're great people.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're getting tired of walking down the street and seeing some of this stuff and just like it's almost so bad in places in Canada that you can't even let your kids out of the house to see some of this stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know. People walking down the street, you know, with a collar and a dog leash and like the crazy
They
stuff.
have some
that
of that
see
in
that
some, like in Moscow, I'm sure they have kind of crazy things too, right? But it's just, I feel like there's less people that are kind of crazy like that.
Yeah.
Like
It ties into some of the other points, right? Like, well, the next one here, I guess, traditional values. They kind of go in together, but there's some. I think somebody just used the word absurd. There's just a lot of weird stuff. I think
there'd be more likely that somebody would tell somebody that they shouldn't behave like that here.
Maybe.
Like, you know, that they need to like grow up or, you know, move on or something. I don't know. Like, as opposed to like nobody wants to say anything in Canada, so then it just got out of hand. Like, and I think there's just a lot more they teach in the schools about respect and even respecting yourselves and things like that. It appears anyway. That's what I'm seeing from abroad.
Yeah, I think so. Self-respect. Yeah, I we both do. We analyze a lot, and I've tried to analyze why and how, because I do firmly believe that it starts with a solid home. You need a traditional home, a mama and a papa in the home raising kids. You need what do you call that? A structured, good, solid home environment in order to raise good, structured children. But the divorce rate here in Russia is scary high. It's very high, unfortunately. And so that does not create structure at home. And yet it seems like at least our generation of people have their head on their shoulders right.
Here.
So here, yes. So yeah, I don't know exactly what caused it or where it caused it. People could argue that this is not really a Christian nation. It's a traditional nation, and there's arguments to be said for that.
I know in the past there's been a lot of issues with alcoholism here, and that could play a lot of the role in the high
divorce rate.
Divorce rate.
But then you would think that would also play a role in messed up kids.
Yeah, but you have not just. I think it could have, but they have a lot of education, and I feel like
teaching people how they should live.
Yeah, like
right and wrong.
Like even the schools and the institutions and stuff that people go to learn, it's like they're still teaching them. I think in Canada we have the schools are teaching poorly, the families are breaking up, so it's single moms that are all by themselves trying to teach a little bit of good, or singles dads trying to teach a little bit of good, but they're not getting backed up by the schools and by the daycares and by that, because the moral compass as a whole in the community has failed. Where here, I feel like, mom's doing the best that she can. She's trying to raise her kids to the best of her ability. And
she has a support of the school.
She sends them to the daycare. She sends them to the school, and they're still teaching them in those settings.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
What's right and wrong, right? Yeah. You're getting the old babooskas. So
you have the support of the government, the media, the school, all trying to help you raise a child in the right direction. Whereas we in Canada,
so dad stepped out of the picture, or alcoholism, or mom or whatever here, but you still have. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Because what I see.
In Canada, the government is working against you. They are trying to pervert and twist your child's mind into something that is unhealthy and unwholesome. Mm-hmm. And the government applauds it all the way through. Very interesting. Very interesting. Traditional values. Well, I think we've covered a lot of that already, but they're here. It's traditional. It's a man and a woman. Mm-hmm. It's even enshrined in the Constitution now. Marriage is between one man and one woman. There is nothing else, and that's the way it traditionally was. So we really appreciate that. I think we've covered it. I don't know if we can talk about that a little bit more or not, but traditional values exist here, and they're thriving here, and they're also encouraged here. We have this whole, like, what do they call it again? Masculine toxinity. I got the word wrong now. Mm. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That they're pushing in the West, that if you're a man and you want to provide for your wife, that's like backwards and caveman, and you should somehow feel shame, or it's crazy. And here it's not like that. This is a traditional country. I can open the door for my lovely lady, and people don't look at me weird. I've actually been yelled at for doing that in Canada. Only a few times.
I just want to clarify, just in case there's a misinterpretation or mistranslation, that I said that they used to have an alcohol issue here. They are combating that now.
Yeah, we've never seen it. Actually, in Moscow the other day, I think, but I mean, I don't know if they were homeless or not, but there was 3 guys standing together that definitely smelled heavily like alcohol, but I rarely ever see it. That is a big time stereotype that they say about Russians. Yeah. I don't ever see drunken people.
No, I think they enjoy to socialize and drink together as a community as a whole here, but they never push it on you. And if they ask you and you say no, they're respectful of your decision. They don't try to push it on you.
Yeah, but you tell me what town community function in Canada that you can think of people aren't drinking.
Yeah, but I don't see that here.
No, but I'm saying so that people can say, what they drink. Yeah. But I mean, shoot, every Canadian.
If anything, I would say it's the flip now. In Canada, there's a drinking and alcohol issue.
Problem.
Yeah, big time. Alcohol, drugs, all that stuff. I'm sure it's here, but it seems like it's going in the right direction, and they are on the right path to conquering that and realizing that they need to fix that. So I just wanted to clarify it that.
Yep.
Russia is not even in the top 10 drinking alcohol countries anymore. Yeah.
There you go.
So there you go. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah, I barely see it. I mean, there's alcohol in the store.
Obviously, yeah.
But when we were younger, at least in Ontario, you could only get alcohol at a bar, of course, or something, but only like to buy to take home at the beer store. We had specialized stores for that, and at the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. Those are the only 2 places you could buy alcohol. Now it's available in the grocery stores all over the place. Not only that, the Canadian government has legalized marijuana and a bunch of other stuff. So it's definitely changed the whole atmosphere of things. It's made it too readily available. I wonder where Canada would be in that list.
I don't know. Probably the top.
All right. Amazing people. I have to put that one on there. It doesn't sound like a major topic, and people don't move to other countries maybe for amazing people, but they really are. They're friendly. There's a lot of stereotypes about Russian people that are just totally false, and we've seen that. Now, maybe there's different regions. I don't know. Maybe we move to another part. We were told not to move to Eastern Russia for something for that reason, that they would be less accepting of Westerners. I don't know if that's true. There's many of you here who are from Siberia and other places. Pipe in the comments and give your opinions there, I guess. But I have seen zero evidence of unfriendliness towards us from the West, and nothing but warm embrace and joy and happiness and help that we've been offered. And the people are just genuinely kind and nice and helpful. When we don't know the language, they just bear with us and do the best they can to help us. They had kiosks where foreigners would sell alcohol and tobacco to children in the 90s. Oh my.
I know, but there was desperate times in the 90s.
I guess, yeah. I missed reading in the comments. I always like it. You learn a lot.
And sales of strong alcohol in small stores is prohibited. Only large stores can sell it. There's probably select stores, not just...
Where is that? In Russia?
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of the grocery stores do have a small section of alcohol.
But they probably have to have a license maybe now.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But I don't know much about alcohol, so I don't really know what they all have on the wall there. But, they have some stuff anyway. Rich history. That's another one. Again, does that really matter if you're moving? Do you care if you move to a brand new country that it just invented yesterday, or, that it has a history? Maybe not, but I do like history, and I think it's really neat that I can stand on my land here. And is this land that somebody may have walked on 2,000-3,000 years ago? There could have been a family very similar to ours that lived here 4,000 years ago. I don't know, and plowed this dirt and farmed. And to me, that's cool. It's really neat. There's a rich history in the country, but also in the buildings and in the culture. Canada is very young, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just does not have that same tie. Right? It hasn't been around that long. Russia's been around a very, very long time, obviously in different forms, and it's grown from its early beginnings. But this land here in this area and this nation has been around a long, long time.
Do you miss maple syrup?
I never really ever used maple syrup until we had our last farm and we started making it. Maple syrup's expensive.
It is.
And we never bought it.
Couldn't afford to
we would buy
it.
Aunt Jemima's syrup, which
is
now you
probably
can't
corn.
have anymore because it's racist.
It's probably corn syrup.
But Aunt Jemima's was great syrup. That's what I poured on my pancakes. I never had maple syrup. My mom and dad would never buy it. It cost too much, and we never bought it either. Maybe on a rare occasion we'd splurge or something, but on our last farm we made lots of it, and so we exclusively used maple syrup because that's what we had. Do I miss it? No, not really. I mean, I miss my maple trees more than I miss maple syrup. Good night, everyone. Bulldog Chuck. Good night.
Again.
Thank you. Last one. Last on the list is climate. The climate here in Russia. Now, of course, again, that's a silly one. I just looked it up today. Russia is 9,000 kilometers from one side to the other, and it covers a variety of different climates, of course. We moved here to Nizhny, and last year and the year before, it was basically the exact same as where we came from in Ontario. That's a lot better than Western provinces. Western Canada is much, much colder and extreme, and here it is much more moderate. The last place we came from in Ontario, Manitoulin Island, it's not the south where it gets extremely hot and sticky. It's just a nice mildness. And I would say it's very similar. This year, it has been consistently warmer all winter long here compared to where we came from. And today, even, I looked at Canadian weather, and boy, it is nasty. It's minus 28s and minus 24s, minus 20s. Even Southern Ontario is minus 10 this morning. Here it was plus 2. So very lovely. Shalom, Aaron. Plant the sugar maple trees. And it take 40 years before you get any sugar out of them. I would like to plant some just for the color. The maple trees have such beautiful, intense colors in the fall.
Get the same though here.
Probably not.
No, I think Norwegian maples are what grow here.
Yeah, Norwegian maples aren't nearly as nice.
No, they're more like a yellowy, orangey color, not the reds that we'd be used to. And you can grow red maples, but again, they're not the same.
Western Canada isn't that cold. Must be for you Easterners. It's a dry cold, I'll give you that, but temperature-wise, it is cold on a thermometer. And Saskatchewan is the only place I've ever seen minus 57 on a thermometer. Never in my life have I seen anything that cold since then or before then. So yes, it's definitely cold. Men can't handle the workload of teachers and run away to the mines. Not sure what that comment's for.
Maybe. That's maybe where the
What Russian food don't you like? I still don't really know what Russian food is.
I think they eat a lot of fish here. We don't eat a lot of fish.
We don't eat a lot of fish, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. We had that discussion the other day.
We should eat fish.
We had that discussion the other day. So we have in Georgia's Kinkali here. It's called. What is it again?
Dumplings.
No, it's a different word for it. It's going to show up here now. But anyway, is it distinctly, this guy, well, there's Russian. It's not Russian. It's Georgian, and Kinkali is Georgian, right? So, I don't know. No, we don't have anything that we don't like. I'm not a big fan of fish. I never have been. Greetings from Cape Breton Island, where it is minus 10 with a wind chill of minus 20. Yeah, see, it's cold all across Canada today. Well, it's translated as dumplings. You should see what that says in Russian.
Yeah, it was...
Kalini or something?
Palini.
Palini? Let's see here. You got translated back.
Yeah, it doesn't translate back.
Valerie. Valerie says dumplings. I don't know if it's a translated comment or not.
Yeah, it is. It did change a minute ago. It's not loading.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Palini, something like that. Whereas we would call them dumplings.
Oh, right there.
Palini. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No, blini. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Oh, no, blini, isn't it the pancake? Pelmeni. Yeah. Borscht, yeah, but some people would argue that, I mean, we would have similar soups, I guess, but Canada is made up of, like, people from everywhere.
We would call it pierogies.
In Canada.
Yeah. But that's because we're French, I think. Like the French.
Yeah, it sounds French, pierogies.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so climate. Very lovely. If you like more snow, there's snow. If you would like hotter weather, they have hotter weather. I was talking to a friend down in Krasnodar, and he was just enjoying plus 14 the other day, and it was sunny and beautiful. There's all sorts of stuff. If you like skiing, another friend actually went to Sochi the other day, and he said you could swim down here and you can ski up there. And that's exaggerating a little bit, but it's got a wide variety. Soil types are different here as well. There's great soil down in some areas, sandy, and it's just there's a whole host of everything. Canada is very similar. That's why I like Canada so much. There's such a wide variety from one end to another, and Russia has the same thing. That covers my list. Why move to Russia? When somebody asks how I can make such an ugly face, it's easy. You lift one eyebrow like this, and you lower the other one, and then you do this, and then you do this.
I can't do it.
It's easy. And no, I'm not ashamed to make an ugly face like that. It's okay. Doesn't bother me none. Pelmini. Don't be so fast. This winter is anomaly warm. Yes, Pavel, but
came from Poland.
You missed the point where I said I've been watching it for 3 years. So last year was about the same as Canada, and the year before was as well. Not as Canada, sorry, as where we came from in Canada. The weather here is almost identical to Manitoulin Island, which is not cold. So yes, this year is even warmer than that. And Canada is actually much colder, and Ontario is much colder than today. But all in all, Nizhny Novgorod weather is not cold.
Pierogies came from Poland.
Pierogies are from Poland. So it's not a French word.
I guess not.
Interesting.
So
sounds French.
We must know Polish.
It's derived from Polish. In Ukraine and parts of Canada, they are known under the Ukrainian name Varanki. Never heard of that one. Vareniki. Or in some dialects, Piroi.
There you go.
Learn something every day, folks. All right, we'll get a few comments in here yet today, and then we're going to call her quit. Greenhouse bananas in Sochi. Well, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yes, I know pierogi is Polish. I thought Russians made them too, like borscht. Well, here they're called pelmeni. Yeah, they do make them. One of my favorite ones right now, they have they're smaller ones, and they're in a what you call like a gravy sauce. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, very, very good. My comments took off. What are you doing?
Advertise this too.
Oh, yes. I was going to tell you all. There's going to be a video. You're putting it up tonight?
Yeah, it'll be there.
All right. So similar to this, we had a chat, sit down on the couch. One of our first podcast style videos. If you like that, well, even if you don't, just head over there anyway, support us. It will be going live on Countryside Corner tonight. Shortly after this airs. Tonight is Sunday night, February 2nd. So if you're seeing this later on, it'll probably be up. We have 2 channels, Countryside Corner and Countryside Acres. This is Countryside Acres that you're watching, but Countryside Corner, there's some cool stuff there too. At least we like it, and you can check it out there soon.
There are pierogies in Russian means pies.
Yeah, that's interesting. You are a good family. Thank you very much, Ivan. I appreciate that. Timofey, greetings from Uzbekistan. Nice to see you and your family. Is your eldest son planning to move to Russia too? I don't think so. We're hoping so, but actually he loved his job, and now he just quit it and started another job, and he's even more happy about his new job. So it's like, I was kind of hoping to go the other way around, but it's nice to see him happy. He's doing well, and yeah, I'm very happy about his new line of work.
This person says, I'm still shocked that you made the decision to move to Russia.
To migrate to Russia. You know, some days I sit back and think about it too, but I have zero regrets still. I am very happy to this day. We've been here over a year now. So, you regret it yet? No. There's things that we miss. Of course.
You know what I said? I had the first sign or feeling of homesickness, and it wasn't even for Canada. It was for Nizhny.
Yeah. We were in Moscow for about a week.
We were there for a week, and then it was like all I wanted to do was go back to Nizhny.
Yeah. Good luck to you, and may your family have huge additions, because as they say, may the hand of the giver never be empty. Thank you, Sergey.
Thank you very much.
Just seeing things. Black Angus is good for selling, but not for eating. Our old dairy cows taste better. Oh, no. You raised them horribly wrong, then. Old dairy cows never taste better than an Angus. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Alexander met Siberians in Toronto, and they said that winters in Toronto are much worse to go through, more harsh for them. I think that's because they're so damp. Southern Ontario winters, the temperatures don't get that cold in Southern Ontario, but they're damp and they're chilly. I would rather take an Alberta winter of -20 and -30 than I would in a Southern Ontario winter. They're so damp. Yeah,
so
like
chill.
a -3, -4 just gets into your bones, and like nothing. Like sitting in a warm tub of water is the only thing that warms you up. Yeah. Valerie, thank you guys, everyone. Gladys, you are a great family. Thank you. Very commendable. Ignatius, that would be great in old Russian songs. The climate is like in Spain. Hi, do you know Justice Walker? Yes, I've spoken with Justice quite a few times, and we keep talking about doing an interview. I want to have him on the channel yet, and we keep talking about how we should do it, and we still have not done it. I'm going to pursue that some more. Justice, if you're watching, you need to get on the channel. Constantine, how are the kids adjusting? I only have one, and sometimes I want to send him back to Russia in a FedEx box, and you got 8. Well, I think there's laws against that, so don't do that. Our kids are loving it. They love every day here, and they enjoy it. And whether you believe me or not, I do honestly consistently ask them their opinions on Russia. I believe it's a parental role to know what your kids are thinking, to catch warning signs before it's too late. And so we sit down regularly with them and say, hey, what do you think? What do you like? What don't you like? And all of them still very much like it here in Russia and have no regrets and no desires to move back. So that says something, I think. Getting older, I started thinking about having a big lot, but it's quite expensive in BC, even being 5 to 6 hours drive from Vancouver. All of Canada is expensive. Yeah. And if you find
it's going to get worse.
We had this discussion today about farmland. You can find cheaper farmland, but then it's not as productive. I found a very cheap piece in Saskatchewan one time. I thought, hey, that'll be nice. But I mean, it was huge. It was 900 acres, and I could only put 40 cows on it. Well, I can put 40 cows on 100 acres in Ontario. So, yeah. Lushik, good night. I'm so glad to see you. That was a wonderful video from Moscow Agriculture. Yeah, that was great. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I don't know about the video, but it was great going to the expo. I really, really enjoyed that, for sure. Yaroslav, hi, I've been following you since your time in Georgia. You're a wonderful family. Greetings from Volgograd. Do you know anything about my city? No, not a lot. Volgograd. I've heard of it, obviously. Somebody being a naughty boy. You're lucky to have avoided the Canadian tariffs. Yes, we can discuss that now. If you're in Canada, blame that on your government, not the American government. The United States government and the president there, his job is to look after America. His job is not to look after Canada. And I agree with him. America does not need Canada. That's unfortunate for Canadians. And that it is what it is. I mean, Canada is very fortunate to have a large neighbor that likes to do business with them, but there are some unfair practices that happen, and it probably goes both ways. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it's fair or not fair. Canada needs America a lot more than America needs Canada, and Canada should, or the government of Canada should recognize that and play ball. Canada will not win a trade war with America. There's no way that they'll win. The economies are vastly different in size. And I think it's terrible. I think it's horrible. Canada opened the ball by firing first, and they're going to put all these tariffs on American stuff. Obviously, that's going to get answered, and it's going to be bad coming back. It isn't going to end well, and in the long run, Canada will have to cave. Those are my predictions on the matter. Can you post your interview with Channel 1?
Maybe on our other channel.
I don't know if we're allowed to post the actual interview, but we can soon drop a link here.
No, we can probably.
I think they'll allow us to do parts of it.
We just won't get monetized.
Oh, okay. Maybe not. Maybe we can do it. Okay, maybe we'll do that. Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily. I guess it is an interview. I don't know. It's on what they call the Tonight Show, and it wasn't just us. So there's a lot of other Westerners in there as well. Tim Kirby is a well-known one that was on there. What's that lady, the singer, Veronica somebody or other? Somebody said she's fairly well known as well. Hey, do I have her name wrong?
I don't know.
Oh, anyway. Tim Kirby, if you don't know him, he's a
sweet. Yeah,
American.
Mariah Carey, though.
Mariah Carey, there you go. What was I kidding? The American Village Project. That's the one thing that there's a lot of videos were on that. So a lot of people know him for that. Anyway, so we were only a short segment in there, I guess, of the whole program. But yeah, it was very interesting. Very different experience from the last time we did something in Moscow. I would hands down do it again. They were super respectful and kind and generous, and just the whole thing was just nice. It was a very, very good experience. I would say a complete turnaround from the other experience that we had at the other channel. So yeah, very happy. What are your thoughts on the future for your children? Will they create their own families with Russian people to completely integrate into society, or they'll try to find happiness among fellow expats? Why? How can I answer
the Lord
that?
knows that.
Yeah, our children, we don't allow any dating until they're 18. So, I mean, Cora's still 2 years away from that. We don't think about that right now.
And she doesn't need to be pressured into it right at 18 either.
The Lord will bring life partners when He chooses, and if He chooses, they could marry Chinese people, Canadians, Americans, South Africans, South Americans, Russians. It's up to God to decide, not us. What was the other part of that? Will they create their own families? I would think so.
Lord willing.
But I mean, that's up to them. Do you want to be rich in Russia? Well, Pinocchio, I am already rich in Russia. I have a loving, supportive wife, and I have 8 healthy children. What do you mean by rich? Money doesn't make you rich. Having freedom and having the support of a wonderful family is far more important. And then having faith in God, knowing your sins are forgiven, way more worth than money. Hi, Arend and Anneesa. What about your house? Did you get a permit to build it from the local authorities? We got permission to build it. There isn't really a permit, not like we would be used to in Canada. Canada needs to learn from how well Russia is doing from sanctions. They are taking care of themselves and appear to be thriving. Yeah, there's a difference though. Russia has a lot of opportunities in different markets to ship things to. Canada, 80%, I believe. I have to look that up again, but I think it's somewhere around 80% of the exports from Canada go to the United States. That is why Canada is not going to win the trade war. I mean, if Canada could find other people to play with, other people to sell stuff to, that would be great. But as far as oil and gas is concerned, the environmentalists won't allow Canadian oil and gas to go through other provinces. So Alberta's got all this oil and gas that could make the whole country rich, but they can't do anything with it because the environmentalists won't let them build a pipeline. And so they're stuck with it. And, then you can think of other stuff. You got manufacturing in Ontario, that basically, car factories and stuff, that all goes down to the States primarily. So there isn't a lot of other stuff. We have grains and things that get exported to China, but that's a pretty small part of the market. I would say oil and gas and manufacturing would be by far the largest share of the market, and it's going to the USA. So Russia's not in that ball game. We got lots of other people to play with over here.
Somebody wondered if we were getting recognized in public.
The odd time, yeah. Yeah, the odd time we get people, especially in Moscow, we have quite a few people. Well, here too, I guess. We once went to a different part of Nizhny. I don't know what we were doing there. Anyway, there was a mall there. We needed something, so we went in, and then it happened to be 2 people. I thought they were together. I thought it was a husband and wife, but they didn't even know each other. They were totally unrelated, and but just that they both happened to see us, so we stood there for quite a while talking. But it's not like it's an everyday occurrence. We can live normal lives.
You should call it a night.
Yeah, we could. Arend and Anneesa are already very rich. They have each other. They have a lovely family. They have freedom to live the life they choose. Oh, somebody translating it, maybe?
No, I think it's just...
BC coast sometimes doesn't get snow at all. Seems Canada doesn't count BC and never really did. We are supposed to join US, but London got a few lords to agree to join Canada. We keep USA and Canada up. Why would BC not count? Of course it counts. The trouble is that the biggest part of BC is like Vancouver, and Vancouver is extremely liberal. But BC is absolutely beautiful. It's a huge province, lots of potential, lots of stuff going on. Interesting thing about BC, if you look at the coastline, Alaska for some reason has a big chunk. Like, I don't know why they didn't draw that line straight through, because there's a lot of the coastline of northern, what I would say is northern BC, actually isn't northern. It belongs to Alaska, which is kind of an odd layout. But of course, it counts. But that particular part of BC is a small part. Lots of BC gets a lot of snow. We've spent time up in northern BC, up by what's that called? Fort St. John, I think it is. Up near Bay Tree, Alberta. Anyway, Dawson City, Dawson. I think it's just Dawson. Man, I haven't been up there in years.
Dawson.
Close to Bay Tree, Alberta, if you happen to know where that is. And they get tons of snow up there. I don't believe you guys could afford to return home if you wanted to. You guys, where'd you go? You guys made a permanent decision on moving there, so best of luck to y'all. Well, if I wanted to, yes, of course I could afford to move back home, but why would I want to? I am home. Right here. This is my home.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, how many languages do you know? I speak
2.
Yes.
You know a handful of words and others.
I know many languages. I know Chinese and French and German and Spanish and Portuguese.
You don't know them.
Well, I've heard of them. It's like, do you know people? No, I speak Dutch. I was born in the Netherlands. There are some words in Dutch. I am fluent, I guess, but there are words that I don't remember because I just don't practice. I don't get the opportunity to speak Dutch very often. English, obviously, I speak that reasonably well on a good day. Chuchu Ruski. A little bit of French, not very much. A few words. And a little bit of Spanish, a few words, not much. All right.
We should call it a night.
I think so.
Thanks for joining
us, guys. Appreciate it. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, do so right now. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done this. If you're seeing this later on, this is a different broadcast than normal. We kind of did a topic-based here. If you guys like that, let us know, and we can do something like this again. We did do a poll recently, and it sounds like many people are interested in the topic of Russia and moving to Russia. So, by the way, your look's 100% Dutch. You know, a lot of Russians say I look Russian, and I look around here, walking around the streets in Nizhny, I say, no, I think you guys all look Dutch. There's a lot of Dutchmen.
Dutch looking here too.
Yeah, very Northern European look around here. So, anyway, catch you all another one. God bless you. Bye-bye.